Have you ever wondered why some people seem perfectly healthy one day, only to suffer a devastating stroke the next, leaving their families asking what they missed? A retired teacher woke up one morning feeling completely normal. She made her coffee, read the newspaper, and started her usual routine. But by afternoon, something had changed. She couldn't form complete sentences. Her thoughts came in fragments, her words wouldn't cooperate. She was having a stroke, and nobody, including herself, had seen it coming. Yet when doctors reviewed her history months later, they found something disturbing. The warning signs had been there all along, quiet and easy to dismiss. Slight dizziness some mornings that she attributed to getting up too quickly. Occasional heaviness in her legs that she blamed on age. Blood pressure readings that were elevated early in the morning but normal by the time she reached her doctor's office in the afternoon. These weren't random symptoms. They were her body's desperate attempts to warn her that something was building, something dangerous happening in the shadows of her daily routine. Here's what makes this story even more significant. Months before her stroke, she had changed one small morning habit. Research now shows that this exact habit, when practiced consistently, is powerfully linked to stroke prevention. But she had stopped doing it, thinking it didn't matter much. That decision may have cost her everything. Today, we're going to talk about the critical morning window that determines your stroke risk, and the simple practice that could save your life or the life of someone you love. This isn't a conversation designed to frighten you. It's meant to empower you with knowledge and control over your brain health and cardiovascular system. Dr. Howard Tucker, a renowned expert in longevity and neurological health, has spent decades studying why some people maintain sharp minds and healthy brains well into their 90s while others suffer strokes in their 60s and 70s. His research reveals something profound. Strokes almost never happen suddenly. They're the culmination of a slow, silent process shaped by habits you repeat every single day, especially during the vulnerable hours immediately after waking when your body transitions from rest to activity. Dr. Shigaki Hinahara, a longevity medicine physician from Japan, has studied stroke prevention in aging populations for over 30 years. He challenges the widespread belief that stroke prevention depends primarily on medication, genetics, or luck. Citing large population studies from Harvard University and extensive Japanese research, Dr. Hinahara emphasizes that daily habits, particularly what you do in the first moments after waking, before you've eaten, checked your phone, or allowed stress hormones to rise, play a far larger role in stroke prevention than most people realize. The problem is that symptoms like high blood pressure, balance issues, or poor circulation often appear only after years of quietly increasing risk. This is why so many people and their families are blindsided when a stroke occurs. They genuinely believed everything was fine because the warning signs were too subtle to notice or too easy to dismiss as normal aging. But normal aging and dangerous aging are not the same thing, and learning to recognize the difference could save your life. Let's talk about why mornings are so dangerous. The hours immediately after waking represent the highest risk period for stroke in older adults, and the reasons are both fascinating and frightening. When you sleep, your body enters a state of rest where blood pressure drops, heart rate slows, and circulation becomes more passive. This is healthy and necessary. But when you wake up, everything changes dramatically and quickly. Your blood pressure surges upward in what doctors call the morning blood pressure surge. Your blood, which has thickened slightly overnight due to mild dehydration, must suddenly flow faster through vessels that may be stiff or inflamed. Your heart rate increases. Your circulation patterns shift abruptly from horizontal rest to vertical activity. For younger people with flexible, healthy blood vessels, this transition happens smoothly. But for seniors, especially those with any degree of arterial stiffness or inflammation, this morning transition creates dangerous stress on the cardiovascular system. Research consistently shows that strokes cluster in the 2 to 3 hours immediately after waking, and this pattern is even more pronounced in people over 65. The morning blood pressure surge is particularly problematic because it often goes undetected. When you visit your doctor in the afternoon, your blood pressure appears normal. Your doctor reassures you that everything is fine. But what happened at 6 in the morning when you first sat up in bed? That's the number that matters, and it's rarely measured. Beyond blood pressure, there are circulatory challenges that compound the problem. When you've been lying down for hours and suddenly stand up, gravity immediately pulls blood downward into your legs. Your circulatory system must work hard to pump that blood back up to your brain against gravity's force. Young, healthy vessels manage this easily through reflexive constriction and the natural pumping action of leg muscles. But in older adults, especially those who are sedentary or who sleep for extended periods, this system often functions sluggishly. Blood pools in the lower legs, the brain receives less oxygen temporarily. You might feel dizzy, foggy, or unsteady. Many seniors experience this every morning and assume it's just normal aging. It's not. It's a warning sign that your circulatory system is struggling with a transition that should be smooth. The cumulative effect of hundreds or thousands of these unprotected mornings is what builds stroke risk silently over time. Each morning, your vessels experience stress. Each morning, your blood pressure surges. Each morning, your circulation struggles slightly. And each morning, your brain and heart adapt to this stress by becoming a little stiffer, a little less flexible, a little more vulnerable. Eventually, one morning, the stress becomes too much. A vessel ruptures or a clot forms, and what seems like a sudden stroke is actually the predictable end point of years of unprotected mornings. So the critical question becomes this: can you change that risk curve? Can you intervene during those vulnerable morning hours in a way that protects your brain and blood vessels? The answer is absolutely yes, and surprisingly, the most effective intervention isn't what most people expect. It's not about taking more medication or doing vigorous exercise. It's about a simple form of movement, a gentle activation of your circulation that specifically targets what researchers call the calf muscle pump, sometimes referred to as your body's second heart. Your calf muscles play a crucial role in circulation that most people never consider. When these muscles contract, they squeeze the veins in your lower legs, pushing blood upward toward your heart and brain against the force of gravity. This pumping action is essential for healthy circulation, especially when you're upright. But here's the problem. In seniors, particularly those who are sedentary or who sleep for long hours, the calf muscle pump often remains essentially dormant in the morning. You wake up, sit up, stand up, but those muscles haven't activated yet. Blood pools in your legs, your heart works harder, your blood pressure surges more dramatically than it needs to, your brain receives less oxygen than it should during this critical transition period. Research from Harvard University and clinical observations from Japan demonstrate that gently activating the calf muscle pump in the first minutes after waking creates a cascade of protective effects. It smooths out the blood pressure surge, making the rise more gradual and less stressful on vessel walls. It reduces blood pooling in the legs, improving overall circulation. It increases blood flow to the brain, delivering more oxygen precisely when your brain needs it most as it transitions from sleep to wakefulness. It signals your nervous system that movement is safe and controlled, reducing the stress hormone surge that often accompanies waking. And critically, it prepares your entire circulatory system for the demands of upright activity before you actually stand up and start moving around. This intervention takes only 2 to 3 minutes. It's completely safe when done properly. It requires no equipment, no special clothing, no willpower or motivation. It's done seated, which means it's accessible even for people with balance issues or mobility limitations. And when practiced consistently every single morning, it measurably reduces stroke risk in ways that surprise even experienced cardiologists and neurologists. Here's exactly how to do it. Before you stand up, before you check your phone, before you do anything else, sit on the edge of your bed or in a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the floor. Make sure your back is supported and your shoulders are relaxed. You want to feel stable and comfortable, not tense or strained. Now very gently lift your heels off the floor while keeping the balls of your feet planted. Then lower your heels back down slowly. That's one movement. Next, lift your toes and the front of your feet off the floor while keeping your heels down. Then lower your toes back slowly. Continue alternating these simple ankle movements, up and down, heels and toes, creating a gentle rocking motion. You're not trying to move quickly or forcefully. This isn't exercise in the traditional sense. It's activation, a gentle waking up of the muscles and circulation in your lower legs. Do this for 2 to 3 minutes, which might be 30 or 40 repetitions of each movement, though counting isn't necessary. Focus instead on the sensations. You might feel warmth developing in your feet and lower legs. You might notice a subtle pulsing or tingling as circulation improves. Your feet might feel lighter or more alive. These are all positive signs that blood is moving more effectively. Your breathing during this practice should be calm and natural. Don't hold your breath. Some people find that slower, deeper breathing enhances the effect by lowering morning stress hormones and promoting parasympathetic nervous system activation. The timing matters significantly. Ideally, you want to do this within the first 5 to 10 minutes after waking, before you've had coffee, looked at stressful news, or spent time standing without support. This is your body's most vulnerable window, and protecting it should be your first priority. Now let's address safety, because certain people need to be especially careful or consult their doctor before starting this practice. If you have a history of deep vein thrombosis or blood clots in your legs, talk to your doctor first. If you've had recent surgery on your legs, ankles, or knees, get medical clearance before beginning. If you experience frequent or severe morning dizziness, start even more slowly and gently, perhaps doing just 30 seconds at first, and make sure you're fully supported. The practice should never cause sharp pain, sudden shortness of breath, chest pressure, or a feeling of faintness. If any of these occur, stop immediately and seek medical attention. For seniors with diabetes or peripheral artery disease, gentleness and consistency are especially important. Your circulation may improve more gradually, but it will improve if you're patient and don't try to force change. Use bare feet or supportive footwear during the practice. Avoid wearing tight socks or compression garments unless specifically prescribed by your doctor. Keep your posture upright with relaxed shoulders. Don't lean forward or hunch over, as this can restrict circulation rather than enhance it. What can you expect to feel and notice as you make this a daily habit? The changes are usually subtle at first but meaningful. Mornings begin to feel steadier and smoother. Getting out of bed feels less jarring, less disorienting. The fogginess that used to cloud your first hour awake starts to lift more quickly. Dizziness and imbalance that you thought were just part of aging diminish noticeably. Warmth returns to feet and lower legs that were often cold in the morning, indicating improved peripheral circulation. If you monitor your blood pressure at home, you might notice it becomes more consistent and less erratic in the morning hours. The goal isn't necessarily dramatic drops in blood pressure, but rather stabilization, a smoother transition from sleep levels to waking levels that puts less strain on your vessels. Your mental clarity and alertness improve, often even before you've had your morning coffee. You feel more confident in your movements, less fearful of losing balance or feeling weak, and this confidence itself lowers stress hormones that can spike blood pressure. These benefits create what researchers call a positive feedback loop. Better circulation supports better brain function. Better brain function reduces anxiety and stress. Lower stress protects your cardiovascular system. A protected cardiovascular system maintains better circulation. Round and round in a virtuous cycle that compounds over weeks and months. Seniors who maintain this practice for even a few weeks often report that it becomes essential to their morning routine. They notice immediately when they skip it because they feel the difference. The fogginess returns, the unsteadiness comes back, and they realize how much this simple practice was actually doing. Let's talk about what happens if you neglect this critical morning window. Health is rarely lost suddenly. It's lost quietly morning after morning in small accumulated stresses that your body tries desperately to compensate for. Your circulatory system adapts and hides the strain until it can't anymore. Until one morning the compensation fails and what seems like a sudden catastrophic event is actually the final chapter of a long, silent story. This is what happened to that retired teacher we discussed at the beginning. For months, maybe years, her mornings were unprotected. Her circulation struggled with the transition from sleep to waking. Her blood pressure surged. Her brain adapted to reduced oxygen delivery. And eventually, her body couldn't maintain the balance anymore. The tragedy is that these outcomes are often preventable with remarkably simple interventions. You don't need expensive treatments or complicated protocols. You need understanding and consistency. You need to recognize that the first moments after waking are when your body is most vulnerable and most in need of gentle support. By activating your circulation deliberately and calmly before rushing into your day, you interrupt the silent progression toward stroke. You give your vessels time to adapt. You give your blood pressure time to rise gradually. You give your brain the oxygen it needs during a critical transition. Over time, hundreds or thousands of these protected mornings bend the risk curve quietly but dramatically in your favor. Your brain remembers these moments of protection. Your nervous system begins to expect them and responds by signaling safety and stability rather than stress and emergency. Your vessels maintain their flexibility better because they're not constantly assaulted by morning surges. Your circulation becomes more efficient because it's being supported rather than shocked into activity. The result is measurable reduction in stroke risk achieved not through heroic interventions but through gentle, consistent daily practice. This morning window shapes not just your stroke risk but your entire day's trajectory. How you wake up influences your blood pressure patterns, your energy levels, your mental clarity, your mood, and your physical stability for hours afterward. Protecting these first moments is perhaps the single most important thing you can do for your long-term brain health, and it requires less than 3 minutes. So here's what I want you to do right now. Tomorrow morning before you do anything else, sit on the edge of your bed and gently activate your calf muscle pump with those simple ankle movements we discussed. Do it for just 2 or 3 minutes. Notice how you feel afterward. Pay attention to your steadiness, your mental clarity, the warmth in your feet. Then do it again the next morning and the next. Make it as automatic as brushing your teeth. This isn't optional self-care. It's essential protection during your body's most vulnerable transition of the day. Share this information with family members or friends who might benefit. Comment below and let us know if you've experienced morning dizziness, fogginess, or balance issues that you've been dismissing as normal aging. Subscribe to our channel for more evidence-based, practical health information specifically designed for older adults who want to thrive, not just survive. Your brain health is precious and largely within your control. The morning window is your opportunity to protect it, and now you know exactly how.